Ro here from the wonderful countryside of Bosnia-Herzegovina. No, I'm just playing. So I'm here in Bellevue, and today I'd like to talk a little bit about failure and the value that it brings to our lives. The reason I want to talk about it is because I'm human and I failed a million times, and I'd like to define and reframe the concept of failure. So usually it's something that didn't go as expected, and also it can be a way to connect with the larger human experience, and I'd argue that it's the most direct way to connect with our own growth, our own creativity, and ultimately transformation. Because a lot of times, well, something doesn't go in a way that helps us. You know, we feel some pain about something, maybe a sense of loss or shame. And then we see that really success, if that's a state of mind, then really the only thing that makes something a failure is when we've attributed that meaning to an event or situation. So maybe it's the very thing that makes us grow. And so I'd like to argue that the antidote is in the poison, and there's a little bit of poison in that antidote. So when we fail, it stops us from a worse failure in the future. So what is success? Well, is that really to say you will never fail and to say that is success, to never fall down? On the contrary, it's about getting back up, and 90% of what happens to us really is about our own attitude and about our own spirit. So it's how we play our cards rather than the cards that we are dealt. And the thing with society nowadays is, we have this notion of what it means to be extraordinary, and we define success in terms of accomplishments on media sites, and everybody wants to show off, their six-figure salary or their new job or the vacation place they're going to or their graduation. And it's almost like we're all earning our right to be happy because, it seems like ordinary is no longer enough in a society that pressures you to be more than you are. And I'm here to say, I'm human, I failed a lot, but I'm good enough. And here's what I mean by that. That our identity as human beings is enough. That we tend to think of our negative behaviors as though there's something wrong with us, when really the only way there can be something wrong with us is if we solidify that into an identity. So the experience of failure never means that you are a failure. There's a big difference. So our nature is actually one of dignity and goodness. So now there's a lot of bad stuff going on in the world, so it's a bit hard to say that right now. But let me give you some examples of people who have failed and came to extreme measures of success. For example, Michael Jordan, okay. He was on the basketball team in high school. He was trying out for the basketball team in Emsley High School, Wilmington, North Carolina. Now, in sophomore year, he was deemed too short at 5'11". Could you imagine if Jordan would have just said, okay, I failed, packing my bags, and my dreams are down the wastebasket. So there you go. Another great example. Imagine there's a girl. She's born to an 18-year-old mother. There's no water, no electricity in the house. When this little girl becomes 14, she has a baby, and the baby is unable to survive. What kind of future would you destine for this 14-year-old girl? And what if I told you that it was Oprah Winfrey, who went on to inspire countless individuals? So, another famous example. This is one of my favorites. Okay, Einstein. You can look this up on the History Channel website. His professors thought that he was too pleased with himself. His parents thought he was slow to speak, slow at learning. He dropped out of school, okay, when he was 15 years old in Munich. And then when he went to Zurich, Switzerland, he flunked the entry exam to get into Polytechnic school. Now, the second year, he tried again, and he got in, but he barely graduated. And we're talking about Einstein here, so Another interesting one. The Beatles, arguably the best rock and roll band in history. Back in 1962, Decca Records said, I quote, "We don't like their sound. Groups of guitars are on the way out." Close quote. That lost them billions of dollars. And think about the success that the Beatles went on to enjoy elsewhere, and how never giving up on your dreams was the most important thing in that situation. So, also, I've been reading a few authors that I recommend you to look up on the power of vulnerability and failure. One of them is Brené Brown. Now, she talks about how we have to build from the ground up. I mean, nobody's just born invincible, and we need to forget about being who we should be and just be where we are and be where we're at, and allow ourselves to have a relationship with ourselves that is always willing to work out any problem with yourself. If you have that unconditional appreciation or relationship with yourself to say, I'm gonna fail because like I will screw up, trust me. But the fact that I can sort of like ask forgiveness, receive it, and allow healing to enter in and penetrate the wound, that is what opens us up to the ongoing transformational process that is life. So, another one of my favorite counselors, John Wellwood, okay, he talks about the vulnerable warrior and how inside of us there's a part of us that's really vulnerable. And I'm not saying that we need to like spill our guts to everybody and, just let everything out to the surface everywhere we go. I mean, I'm not saying that. There's some things are private, or maybe you want to go to counseling or whatever. But like, this counselor taught me that to allow the vulnerable parts of us to be exposed, to understand that it's part of our whole identity, that we're not just these brave warriors that move on and move forward in life, but that it's okay to experience weakness as well, because we have to integrate ourselves holistically. Also, the other nun who actually became a Buddhist monk, her name is Pema Chodron, Chodron. She said, fail again, fail better. And I love that because that's building off of Samuel Beckett and just talking about how to move forward. And again, allowing any pain you have to pierce your heart as a way to resolve it, rather than running away or numbing it out with something which keeps us, unhealed. We have to press into the wound, allow yourself a grieving period. If you did have a failure, allow yourself to resolve it rather than blame yourself or condemn yourself or hate somebody else because of something that happened. Just remember that we have to try to look at ourselves the way God views us, to say, allow yourself one more chance, be willing to work with yourself. And the other thing that I want to say here is, let's see, I kind of lost my train of thought. But in resolving things, it may not always be your fault. So like somebody might actually pass away or something, like something you can't control. And so to remember that we have to allow for that pain to happen too. It's not just the pain of personal failure, but the pain of something happening outside our control. So again, allow yourself to get the support you need to move through your situations and circumstances. And I'm going to leave you with one quote by Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay? So, you can't always be afraid to fail. You can't always win, but don't be afraid of making decisions. I'll be back. Anything I've ever attempted, he said, I was always willing to fail. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Oh, P.S. You can't be paralyzed by fear of failure, or you'll never push yourself. Believe in yourself. And so, I think this angle of perspective allows something valuable to come out of anything that happens to us. And so, I wish you all the best. Good luck. God bless you. Love you all. Peace and blessings.